everyone, my name is Tashwik Mahbub Jami. So today we're going to see how to make a snake game using C++. So I have typed the code first, but now I'm going to make you understand the code line by line. I hope you will get it. So let's get started. Firstly, as you see, we have taken various header files for using some functions inside of our program. Then we started with declaring our data types which we are going to use it in the program. So firstly, as you can see, the bool game over, it is a variable to check if the game is over or not. Then we have used the constant width and height. It will be constant throughout the whole for my boundaries of the game. Then xy for the current position of the snake's head, and fruit xy for the when the fruit appears on the screen, and the score variable for the increasing of the score, how much fruit we can eat through snake. Then we can see I have taken two arrays named tail x and tail y. It is used to store the positions of the snake's trail. Next we are seeing the end tail. It will keep the track of the length of the tail. And the enum direction. Enum means enumeration. It is a unique data type. We might not have seen it before, but it will define the possible movement directions for the snake, such as stop, left, right, up, down. And as you can see, I have declared the stop value from 0 because this enum function, it starts from 0 and increases by 1, 2, 3, 4, and increases 1 in each time. Then let's direction dir. It is another variable. It is used to track the snake's current direction. Then let's get to the main functions. Here we can see we have used various functions such as void setup, void draw, then we get done void input, void logic, and lastly the int main. Why the int main is in the last? Because if we give the int main in the first, then we give this type of functions, it will not work, because in this type of games or complex functions, we have to use this type of functions at first, then we need to use the int main. It might be a new concept to everyone. So now let's get to this function, what we did in this. So we started with void setup game over. It means it initializes game over as false. It means that the game is not over yet. Direction stop initializes the snake's direction to stop, which is a default state where the snake is not moving. When we are going to run the game, we will see that the snake is still in a position unless we press W, A, S or D to move up, down or left, right. Then we can see we have fixed the height, width and height. So the snake game starts at the center of the grid. Width and height represent the game size, 20x20 here, as we have made it constant to width 20 and constant height 20. So secondly, if we see, we have the fruit function for so the fruit is randomly placed inside the grid, and this generates random number, and using percentage width and percentage height, it ensures that the fruit is placed within the grid boundaries. Then we can see the score is 0. The score is initialized to 0 at the first. Then when our snake eats fruit, it the value increases. So now next let's get to the void draw function. Here we can see we have used the system CLS. As I have commented here, it clears the screen. It clears the screen to give a fresh display for each frame. The command works in Windows based terminals, and it prevents the terminal from cluttering, means clashing with the old frame. Then the for loop, we will use many for loops here. Then here we can see the hash. It might confuse. The top, bottom, left and right borders are drawn with hash characters. This ensures that the game has defined boundaries. The borders are always present in the game. Now this is another loop we have used here. J plus plus, j is equal to 0. Then here we have used an if else. So this checks if the current position I and j matches the snake's head coordinates xy. If it does, it displays the snake's head using O. Else if I is equal to fruit y and j is equal to fruit x, count f. It means it checks the current position matches the fruit's position. If true, it displays f for the fruit. Then we have used another if else for the tail rendering. The for loop checks all the positions in the snake's tail k. If a segment of the tail is at position ij, it displays O to represent the tail. Here we have printed the bool print is equal to false. Then at the last we have printed our score, count score, score indel, etc. It displays the current score at the bottom of the screen. Now let's get to the input function. What is this kh bit? It checks a key has been pressed. The kh bit function, it has been taken from the header file which we have used here. Include conio.h. We need to use conio.h, then we can use this function. It is used to detect the key presses without waiting for the user to press enter. It means such as when we are going to open the game, the terminal is going to open and we don't need to press enter. We can just start by pressing WASD and it will automatically detect the key presses. Then get, it is also from the conio.h. It captures the key press. The function is actually used to get pressed by the user. It captures, and you might confuse it with the kh bit. The kh bit detects and it captures. It detects the key presses and it captures it. Then as we have seen, A for left, D for right, W for up, S for down, X for game over. In when we play a game, we basically use this W for up and this syntax, as we know if you have played a game before. Then let's get to this function. Also we have used the break for not colliding these cases with another. As we know, I think you know the break functions from before. Now let's get to the void logic function. These functions are also called return type. I haven't told it before. Return type, this void, or we might even write here int or float. These functions are called return functions. And then here we have taken the prefix pref_y. Here the positions are updated by shifting each segment to the previous segment's position. This creates the illusion of the snake moving forward. And prefix and pref_y stores the coordinates of the snake's head. This allows the tail to follow the head. Switch case for then we can see the switch case for the snake movement. Based on the current direction dir, the snake's head position xy is updated. Here we can see decrement, increment, decrement, increment, and each case corresponds to a specific direction of movement. Now here I have commented it will check the collisions with wall. We have declared game over is equal to false. In our game, if we collide, such as if our snake's body collides with the border line, the terminal will automatically close. So if a snake moves out of the grid, the game ends. Technically it is here. The collision with tail, if the check for collisions with the snake's body. If the snake's head runs into any of its body segments, then the game ends. We have played when we were little. I guess you remember, if the snake bites one of his body parts, I mean its tail, then the game ends. So it works exactly like it. And this also we used to play it in our parents' Nokia mobiles, and I guess you all have the experience with it. So then we can check if the snake eats the fruit. So if x is equal to fruit x and y is equal to fruit y, if the snake's head reaches the fruit, the score increases by 10, and the tail length increases. The fruit is then repositioned randomly on the screen. As we have told that this random generates random number, it is also a function. We brought it through the conio.h and other header files we have used before. Now next, see our last thing what this sir is doing, int main. As we have used several functions before, such as we have started from void setup, void draw, void input, void logic, and then int main. So we can see the same has been syntax, same sequence has been draw, input, logic, first setup, because it initializes the game by calling the setup function. This sets up the initial positions of the snake, fruit, and sets the score to 0. We have seen in the previous when we discussed about the setup function we have made. Then there is a while loop. While loop, yeah, as while loop checks the condition first while not game over. This is the game loop which runs until game over is set to come true, as we have set it at false at first. The draw function is called to update the screen by drawing the snake, fruit, and game boundaries. Then the input function processes the keyboard input like WASD and updates the snake's direction. Then the logic. The logic function calculates the next snake movement and checks for collisions. This logic function, I guess you have got it. Then lastly the slip, it slows the game down. Otherwise the snake will move so fast that you can't even. And we have given here 100. It creates a delay of 100 milliseconds to control how fast the snake moves. We can increase it or decrease it as per our compatibility. So let's get to the first and see what we have done so far. First declaration, this part, then creating functions separately for the initial setup, then for to update the screen by drawing the snake, fruit, then comes the input function. It processes the keyboard input, and then the logic, it calculates the snake movement and random fruit places, and then lastly the int main, where we sequence our how our game will operate, sequentially set up, draw, logic, input, logic, and lastly the sleep, and this returns 0. So I think we have understood the code properly, and now let's see how the game works. Here we are starting with pressing W. As we can see, the snake's tail has upgraded and the score is initialized to 10, and we can see that it collides with the borderline, and the terminal shuts down. This is how our game works. And yeah, that's all. I guess you got all of the code, and you might practice it by yourself. So thank you, that's all for today.